You know, for most people, getting to living lands is a punishment. But, according to Steenrick, you're the personal envoy of the Emperor of Adir himself. Quite a position. Now I've got to wonder what you did to get on his bad side. The Living Lands is a far cry from fancy parties and court events. The Living Lands won't disappoint in that regard. Though I should warn you, you can't rely on charm against Azurup. I look forward to being proved wrong on that account. But that brings me to the real question. Why would the Emperor of Adir send a noble all the way to the Living Lands? Oh, that almost does sound like a punishment. I don't know how you investigate a so-called plague of the soul, so better you than me. Being a godlike, I don't suppose your patron deity gives you any unique insights into matters of the soul, do they? I thought every godlike knew their god. That's one of the stranger things I've heard. And out here, that's saying something. Sorry, these are unusual times. I haven't met anyone who's really seen the Dream Scourge yet, but that hasn't stopped people from worrying about the rumors. Refugees are flooding in from outlying regions. The guards are restricting access to the city. And people are making offerings to the gods for everything from hangovers to indigestion, just in case. Not much. It's hard to separate fact from rumor. I've heard it changes people, makes them confused, disoriented, and eventually violent. No one seems to know exactly how it starts. And here I was hoping for good news. Unfortunately, the presence of so many Adiran troops and the rumored exploits of the Steel Garrote paladins supporting them is only making a tense situation worse. I think that's why the Clavenger accompanied your ambassador. Exactly. Paradise has been quiet lately, but I don't know how long that'll last. We're talking about an island that has been largely settled by nomads, exiles, and dissidents. People who tend to be suspicious of authority. But what about you? What's your stake in things? Besides your orders, of course. Just be careful where you say that. That's the kind of talk that may get people thinking you've got the dream scourge. I'll let you get some rest, but thanks for talking. It's good to be part of a squad again, even if it's just for a while. They say people afflicted with it have strange, vivid dreams and start confusing them with reality. What starts as a light daze becomes severe disorientation and eventually a bent towards chaotic violence. And then, fungal growths take over your body. So dream scourge. Well, you seem pretty lucid to me. I wouldn't worry. Still, if you see any new mushrooms sprouting up anywhere unexpected, let me know. Until then, look on the bright side. The Living Lands is filled with people and things that are likelier to kill you first. It's the gateway to the Living Lands, a scenic port city that's as beautiful and dangerous as the wilds around it. Most visitors enjoy some mariner's porridge at the Ballarock, a back alley shakedown, and then the sudden return of that porridge out of one end or the other. Then, if they've got any sense, they turn around and take their chances back where they came from, with authentic tales of their adventures in the Living Lands. Exactly. What's not to love? These days, we have a few more would-be adventurers trying to leave their mark on the place. The Living Lands means a hard-won second chance for the people who settle here. But first, you've got to survive it. And the island gives no quarter. For a lot of people, the Living Lands is a last resort. They come fleeing war, debt, famine, the law. Take your pick. For others, it's freedom. To seek glory, to redefine yourself, to live in a way you can't, maybe even on pain of death wherever you come from. Don't get me wrong, there are perfectly lovely people here, but most of us who stick around are a little odd. Used to be. If you could last out here, you could count on being left alone. That's what some fear. Ilgard's new embassy and his alliance with the Steel Garrote smell like the authority and order that a lot of people came here to leave behind. But I don't mean to put that on you. I imagine you're tired of having to answer for every Adiran who sneezes into somebody's stew. My favorite subject. That must have been 6 years ago now. I guess I was drifting, looking for a change. A settlement called Thirdborn. It's a rugged little place, lots of Rowatayan expatriates. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we were talking about something else, yeah? I joined up with the Rowatayan Navy as soon as I was old enough. I was part of our campaign to establish a foothold in the Deadfire Archipelago. Not that long before, but yeah. Back then, we weren't even making pretenses at our purpose there. We were returning to our ancestral homeland, with fertile soil that would feed Rawatai. Additionally, we were helping Deadfire, bringing organization to the pirate-ridden archipelago and civilization to our distant Juana cousins. I was young and naive, and maybe that's no excuse. The Juana didn't want us there. We spent almost as much time fighting the tribes as we did pirates and Wilder. And it was hard to see how any of our fighting and dying was feeding people back home. I'd always heard that war was supposed to temper us, strengthen us, but I didn't see that either. I deserted, and I bounced between different mercenary companies for almost 10 years. Hey, not all of us catch on so quick. Besides, there were only so many options for a Rowatayan deserter with no training and anything else. As a mercenary, I figured I could at least choose my battles and my crew. You figured it out faster than I did. It was more of the same. The only comfort was being part of a squad. By the time I came to the Living Lands, I'd seen enough, had enough. I did. Yeah. For a while. Look, if I can give you some hard-won advice, stay on your toes. You're in a difficult position. Whatever your role asks of you, make sure it's something you're willing to give. Because you're the one who has to live with the consequences. I figured. What gave it away? My finely pointed teeth, or the striking blue of my scales? Fair enough. My people are known to roam. Rowatai's hardly a hospitable environment. Many of us end up settling elsewhere, or making a living on the go. That's where you get the popular image of the Amawa bodyguard or mercenary. Don't sell me short. I've also been a drifter, a middling carpenter, and a terrible card player. We should play sometime. I'll show you. A thump on the back and a crack on the skull from a brother who says you should visit more. It's complicated. I guess home usually is. Lashed by storms and battered by waves. We call it the rough country. And old trenchers say it's made us who we are. We do a lot of digging for irrigation, drainage, warfare, the occasional village tournament. Anyone from Rawatai has spent enough time in some kind of hole in the ground to be on a first-name basis with the worms. So, trenchers. Those of us who leave are scramble roots, hardy weeds that can survive just about anywhere. Then it won't surprise you that many leave. And not just because of the hardships. The land can't support everyone. Not that we don't do our damnedest to beat it into shape. Our coral masons have built living harbors and fortifications along the coast to protect our ships and shelter our cities. For all our shortage of fertile soil, Rowatai's land is abundant in saltpeter, copper, iron, most of the other materials you need to outfit your military with weapons and cannons. We value struggling and striving together. It helped us survive and build one of the most powerful navies in Aora. You're not wrong, though my countrymen would point out that we had to expand to find fertile land to feed our people. And the scattered kingdoms we've absorbed in the process have joined one of the most advanced nations in the world. And that's an interesting point coming from the Adiran Emperor's representative in the Living Lands. I'll tell you what I can. Shoot. Sure. What's on your mind? Good thing you're asking the expert. What do you want to know? Ask away. You know where to find me.